Manually programming a robot is tedious and it takes a ton of downtime at your cell. But now you've got increased cost because you're bringing somebody in on the weekend to program stuff for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By taking it all offline, you're giving yourself back a massive chunk of uptime. And you don't have to worry about if your HR can find 6 new guys in the next month to fill the lines that you have at the end of your production. We have staffed programmers waiting 24/7, and we've got engineers all over the country. Our team is spread out so that we can get to these rural customers quickly. And I think that's the recipe of success. We work with local manufacturers as a community, and we figure these things out together, and we get back to that American excellency that we lost. I think American manufacturing has a chance to shine again. We've got great examples of amazing companies like yourself, but we've lost that competitive edge. And I think if we are all teaming up together and working on these hard problems, like job shop automation, I think that's where we win.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Making sure I'm the accountability partner and making sure everything's recording, because once or twice we have started and something wasn't recording, and then I want to punch Casey, and so we don't want to have to do that.
I feel that, man.
How do you see us right now? Do you see all of us right now? If you close the people thing on the right, you should see all 3 of us.
Yeah, I see all 3 of you, but you're definitely offset. Man in beard and black shirt is a little bit too far off frame.
Should we all squeeze together on the couch?
I mean, if you want to sit in these 2 guys' lap, that'll probably make for an interesting podcast.
I mean, that's how we get the rating.
Yes. Yeah, we're dual streaming on OnlyFans, I guess.
Hey, whatever it takes, man.
It's a bad angle for me. It's really showing off my bald spot here.
I know. We decided to try something different.
Every angle
Blame
shows
Mason.
off.
I need the
bald
camera from this. So this is my good side.
Hey, as long as I don't turn around, I don't show mine.
The background editor just came in and he's watching it from the other room.
Yeah, he goes,
Oh,
you guys
good.
are fine. You guys are fine.
It was exciting. The door just opened.
But Tripp,
All right, cool.
we are actually trying a new setup. So on our last one, it was all virtual. So we had the camera right in front of where we're looking at you right now. We have a look at you.
Oh,
And then obviously we have our camera set up over here. Yeah. We're trying something
I
different.
mean, that's a nice way of saying that we have an in-person guest and a virtual guest, and that's a giant pain in the ass. That's what he was trying to say. But we're so happy that you guys are here.
I'm glad that we could
we'll
deliver
help you
this
shake out the
experience.
bugs.
All right, let's get going.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm your host, Casey Velker, sitting here with Matthew Nix and sitting here with one of our guests, and we have another guest virtual, and I'm going to let Matthew introduce both of them.
Yeah, great job looking at the camera. I'm sitting here with Joshua. We're calling him Joshua, not Josh today. And Tripp is joining us virtually as well. So this is the first time having one of our guests in person and the other guests virtual. So we're learning on the fly here as we go.
Watch it not work, and no one will ever see this episode. This episode of Making Sparks is brought to you by Paperless Parts. Are you tired of the complexity that comes with quoting in manufacturing? Paperless Parts is here to help. As the #1 quoting and collaboration software for manufacturers, Paperless Parts simplifies every step of your quoting process in a single, centralized environment. With patented technology, their automated costing and pricing logic is tailored specifically to your shop, making it easier and faster to generate consistent quotes across your entire estimating team. Plus, Paperless Parts meets the rigorous standards of FedRAMP and CMMC, giving you confidence that your data is secure. By streamlining your workflow, Paperless Parts saves you time, boosts profitability, and helps you deliver an unbeatable customer experience. Ready to level up your shop's quoting process? Visit paperlessparts.com to learn more. Paperless Parts, quoting made simple, profitable, and powerful.
I'm meeting these guys for the first time, just like our listeners. I'm not going to get into some big drawn out intro. I'm just going to let these guys do it. But really glad to have you guys on. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. Just our little bit of banter before we started here was fun. And Josh, you made the trip down from Central Illinois. Is that right?
Yeah, East Central Illinois. So I'm just kind of close to the Illinois-Indiana border. I cover most of the state of Indiana and a good chunk in Illinois.
From one 800-person town to another today.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the way to be, honestly. Small town.
Tell us about yourself, who you're with. And
I'm with a company called Forge. We're in 10 different states, and we distribute a bunch of different types of metal fab equipment. So we do lasers, press brakes, saws, pretty much anything that you can bend and form with. I kind of got into this about a year ago. I started actually at FabTech last year, so it was first day in sales is like getting thrown into the ocean or, the fire hose right on your face. It's amazing. Like everybody's telling me tips and tricks and I got to try and learn about product and how to talk to people. It was very overwhelming. I'm unprepared totally for just that experience. Like you think but when you show up, you don't know.
Yeah, that's a heck of a way to start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before that, I did tech support for about 10 years. Worked for a couple of big OEMs, and I learned just how the machines work. So I think that helps me a lot in general, because then I have a good understanding of what people are trying to achieve.
Yeah,
it helps me to help them.
You mentioned to me before the show that you were actually in the structural fabrication world before.
Yeah.
Now you're more in the laser cutting, forming world.
Right. Yeah. It's more fabrication as opposed to structural.
Yeah.
So it's a change. And I'd say sometimes I struggle trying to find the right market. Like it's easy to find a chip shop. It's easy to find a structural shop. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of fab shops, but not all of them are in that market.
Right. Tripp, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. I'm Tripp Hudson. I am the owner and operator for Machine Pilot and The Way Automation. So Machine Pilot, we build digital twin programming solutions for managing your robot on your press brake. So our company provides all the programming for both the robot and the press brake to allow job shops an opportunity to get into automation at an affordable level. We handle all the mess. We want to take care of all of the technical side so that our customers could just focus on their business. On top of that, we run a company called The Way Automation, which is a custom robotic integration company. So we also go out to large companies and design large-scale robotic solutions for managing operations they just can't find employees for. Obviously, we all have experienced a pandemic recently, and it's really thrown the job market for a massive loop. And manufacturers out in rural America are struggling with finding the right employees for those job tasks. So we hope to really assist American manufacturers out in the near future on taking care of the harder tasks in their shop.
I can already think of a few things that we would like to automate right now too. I think, like most people, the concept that it's cost prohibitive is out there. So certainly love to hear your pitch towards that aspect, and I think a lot of our listeners would as well. Casey?
I'm going to direct this one, I think, to you, Joshua. But can you just talk about some, maybe the benefits of laser cutting, or replacing your plasma cutters with lasers?
Laser is going to give you a competitive advantage that other technology isn't going to be able to give you. So it's more precise, it's a lot faster, it's a lot cleaner. You don't have that slag or dross that's all over. You don't necessarily have to have a deburring station. And we can help you get to that point, where you're able to achieve something that you couldn't before. If you have a couple plasma tables, you're running, let's say, 2 shifts, and you have as much as you can produce, right? Well, laser is going to be able to be maybe 3 to 6 times faster than plasma, depending on the application. So now that, let's say, 20 hours a day that you're running your burn system, you could cut that maybe in half. So now that gives you more opportunity to burn more, or you can add secondary processes. You can have your guys do other things at the same time. So then you're not stuck just waiting for a piece of equipment to run. The laser gives you that time back, essentially.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't know as well as with laser cutting, I mean, you can use different gas sources to achieve different speeds and different cut qualities.
We're actually mixing on the machine itself, like really close to the cutting head. So you don't have to purge the different types of gases. And we've seen some places where they'll use like a tank system to mix. It works fine when you're cutting, but then when you stop cutting, let's say your guy goes on break, 15 minutes later you come back, well, the gases in that tank separated. So when you start cutting again now, you're not getting that true mixed gas that you were getting. So, and that's where the speed comes from, is that mixing of the gases. So when you run, it's like a 95.5 nitrogen oxygen, you are able to blow the material out a lot faster, and you're able just to get that clean edge. It's not oxidized, and it does it a lot faster than plastic.
How do you guys work together, you and Tripp?
Tripp comes in when we try to automate things. So like if somebody hits me up for a press brake project, and let's say maybe they have some complex parts, or maybe a high volume, or just even a high mix of low volume parts, and places everywhere are having problems getting people, people that want to work and stay working. Training a new person, getting them to work for you for a couple months seems to be very easy. But then that long-term employee, people are trying to outsource to temps, and they have issues. So the automation takes care of that. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't take a break, and you're able to get a good part all day.
So when you say high volume, what would high volume? Because that's a very broad term. So high volume in relation to something that would justify engaging Tripp.
Engaging Tripp could happen if maybe you had 20 to 30 parts. The cost of the programming and the entry to the system is low enough where it doesn't have to be high volume. In situations in the past, the automation could do one thing. Like if you got an automated press brake, you told that manufacturer, you said, hey, I want to bend these 6 parts. And then they set you up, they hooked you up with those 6 programs, and then you ran those 6 programs. Well, if it broke, you had to get support from maybe overseas somewhere. And if you wanted to add new parts, that became very prohibitive. Like you had to pay a huge amount to have them reprogram it. Maybe it needed an update, something like that. Where Tripp comes in is that you can just send him your model, $200. Day later, you get a program. And then you spend 30 minutes at the press brake, making sure it's all set up right. You do that proof, that test part, and then you're off to the races. It could make 100 parts. It could make 10,000 parts.
I just wanted to say our method of approach is meant to have the idea that these programs are disposable. If you're running 10 custom parts that are kind of tough to manage, or maybe just too heavy to carry, and you have to bend specific brackets for a really important customer of yours, you want to make sure that it's done accurately, right? So you're not wasting that expensive sheet of stainless. So with that, we can show you the simulation of your part being bent ahead of time, give you the cycle time of the simulation, so you know how many of these you can make and in what lot of time that you need in front of that machine. We're proofing out the bend routine. We're showing you exactly what tooling you need on your press brake, exactly the bend sequence and all of the settings for every stroke, all the pressure. We're taking care of all of those variables so that you can trust that you have an accurate part out the door the first time. And you don't need that program again. If you don't use it again, so be it. They're supposed to be disposable. That's why we aim at the job shop market. And we really enjoy working with Forge and supporting their customers. They've had nothing but amazing customers across the Midwest. And we really want to help those manufacturers that don't have that many options. So we want to provide an American-based solution. That's something that you don't see right now in the market.
Yeah, I'm very interested in this. I own a series of different job shops, and I was just sharing with Josh before the show here that one of those is a sheet metal manufacturer. We're new to that game. We've got a laser and 3 press brakes, and we're cutting and forming parts just like you guys are talking about. So let's talk through this in like a kindergarten level, because I think I like to joke I ask the dumb questions that.
Oh, I ask the dumb questions because I don't actually work in fabrication, so Hey guys, it's Casey from Making Sparks. I'm sitting here with I'm Adam Schmidt from Profab Alliance. And what can a client that is starting with Profab Alliance, how do they get started? What happens when they say, okay, we're going to sign up with Profab Alliance?
That's a good question, Casey. And a little bit more I can probably fit in a minute episode, but just high level, there's some get to know you information that we're going to have you fill out, right? Myself and our team, we're going to come up to your location and we're going to do a analysis, what I call a gap analysis, and really learn more about your company to see, really how we can help you out. And that's going to lead into both the high level strategic planning and then more the annual operating plan. So really that takes about a couple of months, because that's one thing that, we really want to get right, and we don't want to lead you down the wrong path.
No, but seriously, so I'm gonna bring a part. I'm gonna bring a pallet of parts over by the press brake. So we just laser cut these parts. These parts need to be formed. I'm gonna bring a pallet of parts over, and so we've got a robot sitting here with some kind of end of arm tooling on it, I guess. And then so just kind of talk us through the elementary level of what it is that you guys are actually doing. So I understand first, when we get the job, we're sending you, we have a SolidWorks model, right? We're sending you
Correct.
the SolidWorks model.
Yeah, very easy from there.
Take it from there and tell us what this looks like.
You send us the model. It could take us as quickly as 5 minutes to do the testing and create a program for it. But it may take a new gripper design. Well, we design our grippers on the fly, ingest them into our simulated environment, and we could 3D print them and build them out of readily available components. So we can get new gripper updates to customers right away, quick shipping. But let's just say you've got a part that you've ran similar parts to, and you've got the gripper on the machine ready to go. You send us the part, we send the program back with the press brake program in its own format, and the robot program, that's something that the robot can understand and the system's ready for. You set up the production. So it comes with a data sheet that shows the setup for the in-feed pallet. So where the pins need to go, where the parts are on that pallet, and then how the parts are stacked. So we can come up with any custom stacking routine that you need. So if your parts interlock in a complex way, we can go in and dial down to that complexity with a little bit more time. And it's a really powerful tool. So what we do is we build manufactured high accuracy pallets for the in-feed that already come with threaded pins and a nice surface to work off of. So what we employ our customers to do is to have that pallet ready at your laser, and the parts get loaded exactly where those pins are at because it's already set in stone. So your laser operators have an easier job. They know exactly what to do. That gets wheeled over or brought over with a forklift to the in-feed. The in-feed tilts up into position where the robot's ready to grab it, and you're ready to run. So from there, all you're doing is making sure that you have that part selected on the cell and on the press brake, and press cycle start, and it's ready to run. It will run through all the parts that you put on the in-feed. It will signal the forklift driver or the operator that, hey, I'm ready for more. And you can load another pallet and run it again, or you can hand stack extra parts if you want to just keep it continually running. We've had operators come over and just hand load parts. Hey, we've got an extra 20 off the table. Let's just keep it going. But typically what we see is these customers will load up 3, 4, 5 pallets with 5 or 6 different parts. They'll have them staged and ready to go. And so when first shift leaves and say they maybe have 1 or 2 people working the back shift, they can keep this system running with just somebody dropping parts off to it. So it's as simple as managing the in-feed and out-feed pallets, taking them when the pallet's full, filling it when the pallet's empty, and you can run as many parts as you'd like. Changeover, matter of 5 minutes, especially if you have the same tooling. It's as simple as selecting a different program and hitting play.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Are you any exclusivity with robot manufacturers you use or? So
we love our toys. We love these robots. We love learning, just as we did with our trucks growing up in the Midwest, comparing and contrasting who has the best brand of truck, what has the best features. We really go out and we test all these different brands. We find out what's our best method of approach. the manufacturers in the US. And right now we've centered in on Fanuc and Kuka being great options. So they provide phenomenal post-sale support to their entire customer base in the US. And they've got a really solid technical group with tons of options. So we don't have to worry about being consolidated down to maybe 3 types of robots and 3 sizes. We've got a wide swath of robots. We can take any robot from the Fanuc library and create movement drivers for it that will in turn allow us to use any robot for our digital twin simulation. So we've got maximum flexibility. We got the ability to make those changes in-house because we manufacture all of our own units here in the United States in our own facility. We manufacture, program, set up, and deliver, and then we do the installation and we do the training. So we've got a lot of control over this, and we could really provide a turnkey solution for each individual customer. We pride ourselves in the ability to be agile and being able to make those adjustments that ultimately create a modular system that works exactly for what your needs are. You're not just getting a cookie cutter solution from Japan or Europe. You get something that's tailored to your business.
Yeah, very similar to our business model as well, the way we work with our customers in a very, custom environment. So, that's
I've noticed
cool.
You guys have a great great reputation. It's that type of servitude for your customers that provides a great experience.
I think the broad theme here is that automation, the volume that you once needed to justify automation is plummeting. Would you agree?
Exactly.
That's kind of the overarching theme, whether we're talking about automating press brakes or welding or cutting. I mean, for example, we run robotic welding in the sheet metal shop that I was just talking about, and it tends to be higher volume, lower variability, although it's still very much a job shop. I mean, on any given day, we're running dozens of different parts. But as opposed to our shop, we call it our custom shop, where, it's most of the time making one part, very custom. Mm-hmm. But, we are piloting a cobot in that shop right now for, much lower volume work, and the technology's come so far on these things. And so I guess I would just say to our listeners, if you're thinking you've got to have, high volume, low variability to look into automation, I would say you need to look again. And, I think if you're at FabTech, well, this episode probably won't even air until after FabTech, but regardless, visit FabTech or any of the other shows in the future. And boy, you can, your head will be spinning. We seriously have some projects of our own, we could talk to you guys about in the future.
Well, I think it would be worthwhile to fly you guys out to the shop and have you take a look at it in person. I think it's a lot more enjoyable to get your hands on it. So I'd love to get the robot in your guys' hands and let you guys run it and see how it works. To go back to your original statement, I think the reality is yes, we want to get the cost per part down. I would say your majority of your major downtimes consist with human nature and business inefficiencies, materials not in front of the machine on time. There's poor communication between the different nodes up until that work center. A lot of those human facilities, we can reduce that interaction with the actual money-making process. We want to reduce the amount of hands that it takes in order to make that dollar by moving all of the labor that you have to do right at the machine. Manually programming a robot is tedious and it takes a ton of downtime at your cell. So you may be scheduling it off hours to negate that, but now you've got increased costs because you're bringing somebody in on the weekend to program stuff for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By taking it all offline, you're giving yourself back a massive chunk of uptime. And you don't have to worry about if your HR can find 6 new guys in the next month to fill the lines that you have at the end of your production. It's there ready to go. We have staffed programmers, waiting 24/7. And we've got engineers all over the country. Our team is spread out so that we can get to these rural customers quickly. And I think that's the recipe of success. We work with local manufacturers as a community, and we figure these things out together, and we get back to that American excellency that we lost. I think American manufacturing has a chance to shine again. We've got great examples of amazing companies like yourself, but we've lost that competitive edge. And I think that's where, if we are all teaming up together and working on these hard problems like job shop automation, I think that's where we win.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big proponent of, protecting U.S. manufacturing. I mean,
Amen.
I think it's a national security thing first and foremost,
Exactly.
and then secondly, it's a significant national prosperity thing. But we've got to be able to make things, and so you guys are tackling it from an automation standpoint, which I so much appreciate, and we're tackling it with the new business we launched, ProFab. From a consulting standpoint, where we're trying to help our nation remain an owner-operated job shop nation. And what I mean is, every major industry goes through major market consolidation. I mean, just look at the grocery store chains or the drugstore chains. Go get your oil changed on your car, right? To get consolidated by the major corporations. And what we're trying to help is help the owner-operators stay owner-operators, help these families transition their business from one generation to the next, or help them transition it to the right-hand man that's been with them for 20 years. And now he can be the next owner to take the business to the next level. And, what we want to do is help them with automating their back office side of their business and putting systems and processes in place and connect them with people like you guys, to bring all the pieces together. Because yes, we have to automate to compete with the other low cost countries. We were just talking about that before the show. We have to do those things, but also if we don't keep predominantly owner operator shops, we lose the cornerstone aspect of these communities and the flexibility and the nimbleness. Like whenever an industry does need to pivot for, say, a pandemic or a wartime situation, these small owner-operator businesses are more nimble and can pivot and do these kinds of things. I mean, we saw all kind of amazing stuff that happened during the pandemic that we would have never even thought about.
Absolutely. Manufacturers pivoting their production lines into making stuff that was useful for the pandemic approach. So yeah, you don't get that out of large corporations. They can't pivot as fast.
And Evansville, Indiana, which is the nearest city to us, we're essentially part of that regional community. And we're known for, we were the largest per capita producer in World War II here. It's so cool that we have a really great museum here in Evansville. And when you go in there and you see all the things that Evansville made, there was predominantly family businesses. And if it wasn't family, it was still, privately held companies here in Evansville. So I'm talking about the Chrysler car plant, which was a large one, but they pivoted, and the company that made the beer started making ammunition. There's another long-term family business here that made all the tents that the soldiers were in. They started making airplanes here. There was a shipyard, a couple of large steel companies. They were just regular old fabrication and steel companies. They literally built an entire shipyard that didn't exist on the river. All the LSTs were built here in Evansville. And so, completely ammunition cans were made here, and
that just gets me pumped up.
Completely transformed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be gloom and doom, but it's not a stretch to believe that we might need those kinds of things in the future. So,
well, in that just close-knit community, automation, people think it's pushing people away, it's isolating, it's, less people in operation, you're taking jobs away. But in all reality, we just want to help make these small communities prosper. You look at how many things these business owners have to concern themselves about, and then how many mouths they feed. If you look at the propagation of every family that they support within their business model, we want prosperity for all these communities. And right now, when taxes are hard and inflation is insane, how do you do that? You work on efficiency and you work on cost effectiveness. How do you stretch your dollar a little bit further? How do you get the work done with a little less effort? Guys like yourselves, this ProFab Alliance, I think is an amazing thing, because you have all these people who go out and they start a business because they know the task, they know the work, and they're experts at it, but they have no idea how to run a business. And so they may be hemorrhaging money every month. Guys like yourself that come in and say, hey, let us automate some of your communications, some of your, recording tasks, and little by little, it's the quality of life that increases. These people can go home and they're not as anxious. They feel a lot better about where they're going to be tomorrow, and they've got better forecasting skills. Like they've got more insight, and with that, you feel like you're more in control. It's an illusion, but we all feel better about where our business is going to be when we start up and turn the lights on Monday. So I think that's really important. And that's cool to they hear the history of your region. I mean, that's what makes you an American, is the ability to rally together from differences and come together for a unique purpose.
Tripp, I was going to say, I'm glad you actually brought up the whole, like, when people think of automation, they think they're eliminating jobs or whatever, because we had a gentleman on the podcast. I was just listening. I think we just did like their snippets a little bit ago or whatever. And he said, I'm not going to lay off people. And I think, I'm in a lot of manufacturing plants and a lot of like fabrication shops. And the one thing I was telling Matthew earlier this morning was like, why I like working with them is because of the people there. And when you hear automation, you think, oh, that means you're going to get rid of a lot of those people. But most people are saying, no, it's just, we're going to make those people more efficient.
Right. Yeah, you let them do other things. It's a person, like, think about what you want to do at work. Do you want to stand in front of a piece of equipment and put the same thing in there 300 times a day? No, nobody does. That takes a mental toll on you. So then why not offload it to a robot that doesn't get tired, that doesn't feel bad at the end of the day?
It lets people move their contributions to work that has more dignity and purpose. That's what I say. And I don't know a single person in my circle that has automated and removed jobs. I mean, you're just not going to, because
100%.
First of all, you already have 2 or 3 things that you can think of you'd like that person to be doing. Right. And if you don't, you're probably going to grow the business because you've automated, and you're going to need those people. So,
well, and you're always talking about, like, the next generation is always talking about work-life balance and like just like the stress when they're at work or whatever. Like you said, if you got rid of some of those stresses, you'd be surprised what people's minds can do when they're not just in the minutia. Is that
like
the right word?
Daily grind.
Daily grind, where you're just spinning your
use
wheel
your
on
mind. Yeah, use your mind to think about how to make the process better.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And I've got a great testimony from a customer on that. I get to go see these guys all the time. So whenever I go out and get to work with the operators, I had one guy out near Pella, Iowa, beautiful area, and they make a great product called Thunder Creek trailers. The parts that these guys are bending, they're 150 pounds and 6-foot long plates, and they're doing stacks of these things all day long. I mean, you see these guys, they look like linemen. One of the gentlemen thought was a good candidate for managing the robot cell. So we got him trained up on site. He was really enthusiastic about it. He helped us install the unit. So he had some play in bolting everything down and getting it wired and getting the first program going. Every couple of months I come back there, and that guy is engaged. He's happy. He's light on his feet. He's had, every time I go back, he's got 20 more parts programmed. Just does a phenomenal job, but it's completely shifted his view of his job and what his self-worth is. And then also, he's gone out and he's been finding books and YouTube channels to teach himself little things to make it a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, a little bit easier on the joints. It's super impressive to see. But that's every place I've gone to. You're empowering the people, and you're giving them a new lease on their job and a new lease on learning something new that's creative. It goes from mundane to a highly creative task. I think that's very important for people to be able to express themselves and feel heard.
Yeah, I've got a neat real life scenario of that too. And admittedly, we inherited this scenario, but I think it's really cool and I want to share it. So the business we acquired recently, they've got the robotic welding pretty recently within the last few years. And the gentleman that runs the robotic welding cell, he's a young African-American guy who was on our E-coat line. And that is like the lowest skilled position there. So, I mean, they're just hanging and unhanging parts. So when we think about, not having meaning in the work and like being very mundane, like you talked about, I mean, this is it. I mean, it's pretty low skilled, high labor intensive. Well, he had an opportunity to move to welding. He asked if he could move to welding. They had an opening. He went over there, with some internal training, self-taught welder. And then when the robot came in, he put his hand up and said, I'd love to learn that thing. And he, like you said, Tripp, I mean, he just has so much pride. When I come over and I'm asking him, he's teaching me all about how the robot works. And, I just
up there talking to him.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, we had a 20-minute conversation about it.
And I brought up that he's African-American because there's not very many of those guys that are welders. And so I think that's cool. And had he just hung parts and unhung parts every day, I don't know that he's going to be recruiting anyone in his circle to come there. But now he has dignity and purpose in his work. He knows how to run the robot. And I got to believe that he's probably going to be more of an advocate to attract the folks that are in his circle to come to work with us. So anyways, it's just another real life example of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anytime you can grow professionally and you're encouraged like that, it's totally worth it. You get that opportunity. Like, well, is there a dare to be great situation? Sure is. Let's dare. That's what it's all about. And I mean, at the end of the day, robots are cool, right? Yeah. Who doesn't want to work on a robot at least for a little bit?
6-year-old's doing it right now. I asked him what his favorite class was. He says, Innovate. I go, why? He goes, we're building robots.
Nice.
I said, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got small engines back in the day, didn't we?
Yeah.
There's lawnmowers and weed
Work on
eaters.
the
Lawnmower engines.
Yeah.
Taking them apart.
Well, we need to be still doing that too.
That's
Amen.
true.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I did take that class for a video guy. I did take the ag mechanics class.
It's a good way to be. Can't go wrong getting dirty.
Well, I think we're running out of time here, Matthew.
Man, the time flew by.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a lot of fun.
it's kind of fun when we don't know we didn't know you guys until we started talking to you. And I really like when like the conversation just organically goes to something that I think our listeners obviously are going to, I mean, I know that the Making Chips brand, they have some automation.
Yeah, they have a show,
podcast.
Lights Out, specifically Lights Out, specifically around automation. And
so listeners definitely want to know more.
Yeah.
And you guys brought a lot of value to that.
we forgot your dad joke.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we get a dad joke today for free.
Yeah, dad joke. The last one was really
Premium
good. This one.
subscribers get the dad joke.
What do you call a belt made of watches? A waste of time.
Good.
That was horrible. I love it.
Phenomenal.
Ouch! Feelings.
I mean, you hit all the boxes right there.
I might have each of you. So I'll start with you, Joshua. How can people kind of stay connected with you? Obviously, as a sales guy, you got to make connections, right? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the easiest way is probably LinkedIn. You can just search out Joshua Battles, Forge. I think I'm the only guy named Joshua Battles that's associated with Forge. So you should be good.
And Tripp, what about you? How can people connect with you?
There is a Forge guy in every region. We work closely with them, so there's a route. You could find me on LinkedIn. I'm not particularly a social media guy. I grew up out in the woods, so I like my privacy. Our company does have a LinkedIn profile that you can go and search by the name of Machine Pilot in the Way Automation. Also reach me by email, t.hudson@machinepilotautomation.com and t.hudson@thewayautomation.xyz or .com. We're hoping to have a lot more to show on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook here shortly. We've been working on some really cool videos with drone edits and all sorts of stuff. So be looking out for our social media pages.
Yeah, very cool. Any last thoughts? What's anything you got? And then I got one final question. Anything you want to say that we didn't hit on?
We're at booth 20 or S26085 at FabTech.
This probably won't air until after. We've got several in our back.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Useless information.
Don't go
We'll
to that
see you
booth
there.
next year.
Yeah, right?
What are you most excited about right now?
Right now, just in general, I would say it's going to be laser cutting and then bringing that automation in those places that don't think they can use it. Everybody needs a laser just in general. If you're bringing you're cutting with plasma, there's a lot of room to improve. And if you want to get into automation, if you want to maybe go robotic assembly, you're going to have a laser cut part. So at the end of the day, really, if you're going to invest in your shop, I think that laser is going to be really a key piece of equipment. And once you have that good precision parts, then you can go and branch out into the rest of it. You can automate other things. You can allow the rest of your business to catch up to that machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Take it from machine experts. We love the Cut-Light Penta equipment. They're amazing lasers, and we fully plan on doing some cool things with robots and Cut-Light Pentas in the near future. Definitely worthwhile equipment. I absolutely love them for lasers.
Tripp, what keeps you up at night? What are you worried about?
Oh, way too many thoughts. Way too many thoughts. I'm not worried. I see a bright future for our country. I see how everybody's, moving towards bringing manufacturing back, kicking back on oil production, really driving our manufacturing industry. So I have a lot of high hopes. What keeps me up at night is I love to help people. If we've got something going wrong or issue, or we got something that we want to tackle, I sit and dwell on that for hours and hours on end. So we've been thinking about this particular problem for a very long time, and we've been working many hours to solve it. So I'm just excited to show it off here in Orlando in October.
Yeah, that's cool. Looking forward to seeing it as well. If you saw us get a little distracted during that, it was because somebody just came in the side door. We're gonna have to put a
Lunch is
sign
here.
up. We're recording. Yeah, I mean,
he's bringing sandwiches.
It's not a good podcast or a good Zoom call if somebody doesn't walk in and out. I mean, that's
You guys didn't set that up ahead of time?
Hey, that was really funny.
no great conversation, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know how we sign off here. If we're not making sparks,
Not making money.
that's right. Well, I guess if the press break's not going up and down either, we're not making money.
That's true too.
It starts with sparks for
There.
sure.
I like that one. Starts with sparks.
Starts with
Good.
sparks. Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
for having us.
fellas.